We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Until the killing of black men, black mothers' sons is as important as the killing of white men, white mothers' sons. Oh, we who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. The older I get, the better I know that the secret to my goings on is when the reins are in the hand of the young who dare to brave against the storm. Oh, we who believe in freedom cannot rest. Hear me talking to ya. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes.
Thank you, Such. Now I want to bring up one of our special guests this evening, that is the Mayor of Denver.
Thank you so much. And I want the program to go on. I just wanted to, first of all, do what Donnie told me to do. come up and bring some brief remarks. I want to also acknowledge the elected officials who are in the room and public officials. There are a couple of folks I want to call out very intentionally as well. First of all, upon graduation from college, I was handed a book as a gift from someone. And this book made such an impact on my life that I kept this book forever. And I just told the author that the other day I was cleaning off my shelf, dusting them off at home in my study, and I came across this book, and I said, you know, I ought to pull that book out and read it. And again, and I decided that instead of reading it again for myself, I'm actually going to let one of my young men that I've been mentoring for years read the book. But the book is entitled "There Is a River" by Dr. Vincent Harding. And to read that book and to really give it a context that takes you way beyond the civil rights movement, but to the origins of African Americans, or the origins of the black people in this world, was very powerful for me as a young man. And so I've said this to Dr. Harding. I thanked him for writing the book, and I just gave an endorsement to whoever wants to read a phenomenal book that will truly transform your life. There Is a River by Dr. Vincent Harding. It's on the book order. But thank you, Dr. Harding. It's good to see you today. The other person that I just want to call out briefly, it's a lady who as well impacted my life at a young age, and didn't know the connection she had to the civil rights movement when I knew her. I was, the story's been told, I was Federico Peña's intern, blah, 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 when I was in college, right? Well, I was assigned to this lady once in his office, and just absolutely big sister. She became someone I idolized and looked up to. It was years later, as I was talking to her, that I learned who her late father was. And he, of course, would be Whitney Young, the former CEO of the Urban League. And this was during my time as the CEO of the Urban League in Denver. And she said, you know, my father was the national president. I said, who was your father? She said, of course, Whitney Young. And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? This is the man. That was your daddy. And to sit and talk with her is worth $1 million if you want to get behind the scenes of the civil rights movement. And as someone who loves history and politics, I wanted very much to do that. And she has not only been kind of my person that I access to learn more about the civil rights movement and the Urban League and Whitney Young, but someone who's been a mentor, an absolute friend over the years, and I love her to death. And that would be Lauren Castile, the daughter of Whitney Young back there. I know many of you know her. And finally, they started to tell the story of Whitney Young as a critical player in the civil rights movement. And just, it just walked out of my head. Lauren, the title of the movie? The Power Broker. The story of Whitney Young as part of the civil rights movement. Those of us who were part of the Urban League kept telling the story. We tell the story all the time. But we oftentimes have the same audience. The Power Broker is a movie. If you can go to to PBS or download the movie, I suggest you see it because it tells the indelible story of the behind the scenes of the civil rights movement. And by the way, while I'm at it, Ralph Abernathy wrote a book, And the Walls Came Tumbling Down, and another snapshot of the civil rights movement behind the scenes. But Whitney's story also gives you that story. Listen, let me just be very brief. And what I'm excited about is I want to congratulate Donnie Betts for what he is doing and telling the story. And putting this dialogue out there, which is so important. And I'll tell you why it's so important. For the young people. Unfortunately, for many who are in this room and my mother's generation and even some of my older sisters and brothers who lived through it, they had a connectedness to it. I wasn't born until July of '69. And so I know, what? And so I missed really the heartbeat of the civil rights movement. And a lot of what we had to learn, a lot of what we needed to learn, we had to go search it out for ourselves. And I think as the point that Donnie's making by not showing the clip of Martin Luther King with it, and even the Power Broker movie, and The Walls Came Tumbling Down by Ralph Abernathy, and what Dr. Vincent Harding does is that in There Is a River, is that there were so many players, African Americans, white people, Jewish people, Latinos, who played a critical role. And it didn't just start when Dr. King showed up, right? Didn't just start with the bus boycott. It was so many stories were missed when we missed the Tuskegee Airmen, okay? We missed a lot of the folks who put their lives on the line during the American Reconstruction era, when lynching was at its height in this country. And so many men and women, ministers who stood on the line and put their lives on the line so that a Michael Hancock could stand up and say, I want to be mayor someday. So the power of that is the more children sitting here, watching how they receive the right and the opportunity to get to enjoy their rights and opportunities to sit where they want to sit, to go to school where they want to go to school, to walk in a movie theater with their heads held high and choose to sit in the back if they want to, or guess what, go to the front if they so choose. So many people died for that right. And so we advance forward past 1963. And the real power of today and those moments, even after this great march took place and the great seminal year of 1963, is new challenges come up. Even with the passage of Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Acts. Is that in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and even today, we face challenges that have peeled back the layer, and we're beginning to really pay the price of slavery, pay the price of Jim Crow, pay the price of a system that sentenced black men over and over again for crimes that are less than what some people receive only a few years for, if that. Today we find families that are missing the men who should be in the household, a miseducation of generations, drug abuse, and other things that are damning generations of children. Today, America faces its greatest threat,